CrossFit wasn't quite doing what I wanted to do. It was fun, but it just wasn't quite satisfying. And, bodybuilding is such an individual sport. It's like me against me. And I like that from an individual standpoint, that it's, I get out of it what I put into it. And it's like, I'm trying to figure out what I can do to improve myself on a daily basis.
Well, hello there and welcome to the supersetyourlife.com podcast. This is your weekly dose of inspiration, entertainment, and education to fuel your life inside and beyond the gym. We are Colt and Taylor Milton, your host. A couple quick announcements before we jump into the interview with Dr. Jensen. If you are a bodybuilding competitor, if you're looking for a coach, you may text me at 206-743-1346 for information on coaching. Or you can head on over to supersetyourlife.com and book a free 15-minute phone consultation with me to discuss your competition goals. At the time of this recording, January 2022, we are currently overbooked with all clients and cannot add any new team members until mid-February, early March. So depending on when your contest prep would start, we could talk then. However, we are happy to get to know anyone that is interested in coaching options and would love it if you joined our free Superset Community Facebook group where we share successes, motivate, and inspire each other as a team. Also, coffee. Taylor and I are proud to announce that we are partnering with Blackfin Coffee, a Pacific Northwest-based small batch roasting company that we have been supporting for the last year in an effort to contribute to their mission to save orcas. You heard that correctly. And enjoy some darn good coffee. The information is on their website and you can find it at supersetyourlife.com. Just go over to the side tab on the menu and see where it says coffee. Our metabolic nutrition pre-workouts, this is the pre-workouts that I take every morning before my workouts, is they're great. They're awesome. I love them. They are pretty high in stimulants. And so for this reason, a lot of our customers have asked if we would have something that has like less caffeine and stuff, especially the ESP Extreme. That's one that I only take on leg days. I only recommend that anybody takes it on leg days, like it gets you that jacked. So for that reason, we do have coffee now. And here's your answer. We have regular. And if the regular coffee has too much caffeine for you, we got decaf too. So I'm all about the decaf, especially if it's the same day that I'm having it with some pre-workouts. So these are available to drop ship from Blackfin Coffee in Seattle, Washington. And that's it. Okay, we're going to jump right into the interview now with Dr. Jensen. Let's go.
What's going on, podcast? We have Dr. Nichole Jensen, who is a physician and women's physique competitor, having recently won the NPC Natural Pennsylvania Pittsburgh in September 2021. Congratulations again.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Dr. Jensen specializes in lifestyle medicine, that is quality exercise and nutrition, helping patients get off mainstream medications and make lasting changes. Our client Dana, myself, and possibly a couple other of our current female clients will be competing at the same show this year in 2022. So we reached out to the overall winner of the women's physique division to ask if she would be so kind as to answer questions from our coaching clients and our Superset Facebook community about what it takes to not only compete, but excel as a female bodybuilder. Dr. Jensen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Right. So I've got a handful of things to go through. And first one is from Michelle in Dallas, Texas. She would like to know, what compelled you to want to compete in the first place? Was it something that you always wanted to do? Was it off the cuff, or did someone encourage you?
Well, it was definitely somebody that encouraged me to get into bodybuilding. Prior to this, kind of my background, I was an athlete in high school, 3 sports, and then got into some running, ran some marathons, kind of that middle distance running in college. And then found CrossFit actually when I was in medical school. And that kind of got me back into lifting weights. I did a little bit of lifting with the other stuff in high school, but I did CrossFit for like 6 to 7 years. Was pretty competitive in that. Never made it to like regionals. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are or your audiences with CrossFit, but never made it quite to regionals, but did a lot of competitive local competitions with CrossFit. And like every CrossFit athlete, it seems like, had some injuries, had to back off what I was doing. I kind of just lost the fun of it. And then COVID happened, and I had switched to kind of this hybrid CrossFit, bodybuilding, Olympic lifting type program, and really enjoyed the bodybuilding part of it. I did that for close to a year, and a good friend of mine was like, "Why don't you just try bodybuilding? Like, just do it, just go for it, just try it." And so almost a year ago now, in March of last year, is when I got hooked up with my coach, and started my career, my journey in bodybuilding. Let's put it that way. I don't know if it'll be quite a career, but my bodybuilding lifestyle.
That's awesome.
Well, off to a heck of a start.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can tell by looking at your physique that you've done a lot of heavy lifting. I'm surprised that that you're, I guess, relatively new to bodybuilding in comparison to CrossFit and everything. But the CrossFit would probably explain the dense, hard muscle fullness that you were able to bring to the stage in September. So I certainly have a lot of respect for that. And actually, going off of that, I was going to wait until we asked Celia's question, but she said when this one client of ours like literally had 10 questions, so I tried to summarize them into less questions, and if somebody else asked the same one, kind of give them credit for it. But something that she said was, "I like everything about her physique. I like her biceps, shoulders, and back muscles. I want a back like hers."
Nice. Thank you.
She's going to be doing her first show. And then she goes, "I like how big her quads are and how prominent her abs are, her glutes, calves, hamstrings." I had to agree on the glutes. So I was like, holy cow. Like those are,
Thank you.
Those are no joke. Triceps, nicely defined, muscular, really pop. And she goes, "I'd like to have a similar look." So yeah, she might do that one. We're not sure. All right. Second question is also from Michelle from Dallas, Texas. What was your mental process to get your head in the game and push through the obstacles when it got really hard?
Well, my focus was getting to the shape I needed to be in and doing what I had to do to get ready for the show. I definitely had some obstacles, especially going through my first prep for the shows. I actually, later we figured out I was having pretty bad hypoglycemia to the point where I was, didn't have any energy. I was trying to drink energy drinks to try to figure out what was going on. And my coach said it was going to suck. But I, didn't quite know it was that bad until I almost literally crashed one weekend. But my goal was to do what I needed to do to get myself prepared for the show. And I'm one of those stubborn people that will just keep pushing until I literally will crash. So I don't good or bad, but it took to that point to finally get me to stop for a minute and think about what actually was going on. And I mean, this is coming from a physician. Like I just kind of kept ignoring it, thinking I was just, doing what I was needed to do and to cut weight and to lean out and everything. But it was, we were pushing that limit, walking that fine line until we finally tipped over it one weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
For those that don't know, could you explain like what hypoglycemia is?
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course. Hypoglycemia is just a low blood sugar. Most average people, so not diabetic, their blood sugars usually range between like 80 and 100. That's like a normal blood sugar, a good healthy blood sugar. And it'll obviously go up when you eat carbs, but it should return back down to that normal. I don't know quite how low my blood sugars were, but for a while they were sitting in like the 60s and 70s despite eating carbs. And I think that is part of the normal kind of prep process from kind of my understanding of the physiology of everything and why it does kind of suck and why it's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but it shouldn't be getting that low. So, if you're going through that and you're having issues, you definitely need to let your coach know like ASAP.
Yeah.
Well, I can imagine too, just being on prep while working your job as a doctor was probably just insane. Just with the demands of your job, the demands of prep, I bet it was just crazy for you.
Yeah. Thankfully, with the way that my schedule was kind of set up, it was busy over the summer, kind of right as we were starting prep. And then as we got closer to the shows, my work schedule at least really backed off and it wasn't as strenuous as it could be.
That's good, especially at the end of a prep too, when it's the hardest part of it. That's good that it backed off a bit.
Absolutely. Okay. Next question we have is from Pilar. She is from Las Vegas, Nevada. She would like to ask, how do I know what division to compete in within the NPC?
Good question. I would say to start off with, there should definitely be a discussion with your coach. And then based on kind of what your goals and kind of what you want to get out of this, if you just want to work out, look a little bit toned, wear a bikini and heels, one of the less defined, muscular defined at least divisions, like bikini or wellness or some of the or fitness, I think is the other one, would probably be a better option. If you're more into lifting weights and want to try to actually build and get more definition and get big that way, then you can start looking at some of the other like figure, wellness. If you have wellness is really from talking with my coach, wellness is a division where you really have to kind of be genetically gifted and have a lower body to start with. It's really hard to build that if you're not already fit into that. And kind of same thing with figure, but a little bit less. But it really depends on kind of what look and what your goal is with what you want to get out of this and going through this process. And then also what does your body look like? What genetically kind of where would be a good place to start? And myself, not myself, but I know of other competitors within my coach's program and stuff that started in one division, and then just to kind of get their feet wet to get into a show because of where their body was at one point, and then as they've done it for a couple of years now, they've changed divisions each year and kind of moved up. And so there's just because you start in a division doesn't mean you can't then work to grow and get bigger and improve on areas and change divisions from like bikini to figure to physique. And it can be a lot of crossover in those different divisions.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Why did you pick women's physique? Why was that the one that you decided to go with? I thought about figure, but I didn't want to wear heels on stage. I learned to walk in heels. I'm not gonna lie. I can walk in heels and I can do fine in them if it's just like, for a day-to-day thing or going out or something like that. But I thought not on stage. I wanted to be more comfortable on stage, and I, definitely more comfortable barefoot. I did not want to do bodybuilding because I didn't want to get that big. I liked the idea of physique to be able to build muscle, be strong, but still look feminine. And that's kind of where I felt like I fit the best, and my coach thankfully agreed. And so that's where we decided to focus all of our efforts.
Awesome.
Good for you.
Obviously it was a good fit for you. So
yeah.
So you decided not to do any other categories, or did you, like, as long as you're there and shredded and like in the best shape of your life, did you just like throw in for bodybuilding just for the heck of it, like as long as you're there kind of thing, or just focus everything on women's physique?
We just stuck with everything with women's physique. I've asked her since then about like crossing over doing figure, but she feels I've got a good, because I'm staying natural, to stay where I'm at and worry about just physique and getting that down. And so I'll be competitive at the national level this summer.
Wow, that's terrific. Yeah, when it comes to, I guess, the shows that I've done, I pretty much always just do everything that I can as long as I'm there, because I don't know, especially the smaller shows, like sometimes just to be a good sport and to give somebody else a chance. But like I always take dead. I just take dead last place when I do men's physique. I'm most competitive at the natural shows, at least as a bodybuilder. But it's like, might as well do classic, might as well throw the board shorts on. I'd rather be on stage flexing than waiting for my backstage. But it can certainly take away from, if you're going to win and to get to the next level, then I can certainly understand just focusing on the 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Also from Pilar from Nevada, what are the best glute exercises to build and keep the booty, especially if you are in a calorie deficit?
Well, I don't think you need to necessarily worry about the calorie deficit part of it. If you're doing the exercises, whether you're in a calorie deficit or you're in a surplus, I think you'll get a good booty.
I'm so glad you said that. I agree with you.
I mean, as long as you're doing stuff where you're working the muscles, they'll get a workout. And I think there was a question about that a little bit later of kind of prep stuff and how to kind of maintain. But my experience and what I've done and what I feel like I've seen really worked is just lunges, walking lunges, stationary lunges, whatever. Lunges are a great exercise for glutes as well as your quads, and they kind of get a 2-for-1 there. My coach has me doing a lot of Bulgarian split squats, which are kind of more of a quad, but there's definitely a big glute component to those too. Other ones we do reverse hyperextensions. They'll do your whole posterior chain, but you really got to get the glutes into those. Basically anything lower body. I mean, if you're just squatting, if you're doing leg press, if you're doing hack squats, they're all great for glute exercises. I'm trying to think what else. I had a specific glute program I was doing before leading up to the first shows for that purpose. We did the glute kickbacks with like a cable kickback. Why am I drawing like goblet squats? Trying to blank on I'm not doing that anymore. I'm trying to blank on everything we did. I had like 9 different glute exercises that we did.
Wow.
And like 3 different sets. It was like 3 different workouts that I was doing like twice a week, just for glutes because she thought I needed a bigger butt. So, which I have not complained about. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those are kind of the big ones. It was a lot of lunges. Oh, like even just like kettlebell swings, like that kind of stuff. Cause it all works your posterior chain.
Yeah.
You really got to, if you're focusing on squeezing your glutes at the end of those kettlebell swings with a heavy weight, and I'm talking like a Russian swing. So just bringing it up to kind of chin level. You don't have to go over your head with it. Just make sure you're squeezing your glutes at the end of that. Will definitely get a good, you'll feel it in your glutes.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Yeah, especially because as bodybuilders, we get so into muscle isolation. It's like, I want to grow this muscle. Okay, isolate. I want to grow this muscle, isolate. I mean, even compound lifts too. But blood flow and muscle activation and everything. But what you're talking about is some ballistic, like explosive training, which just sounds like a curveball and something that the glutes probably aren't used to doing. And they get used to all the normal stuff, and they kind of get they know your whole routine, and so you need to throw a curveball at them. It sounds like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, to add up, I was doing like jumping lunges and like so to add that explosive component to it really makes it work.
Those torture. Yeah, no, I remember the first time I did those, and I like couldn't walk the next days.
Oh yeah.
That's hilarious. Okay. Pilar also would like to ask, and this is something that like literally every single female asks me at one point or another, is what are your thoughts on Anavar? Should a female take this steroid even for a short time? Is it safe? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it really depends on what your overall goal is with bodybuilding. Obviously, when you start messing with hormones, you're going to start changing the natural physiology of the body, which has all kinds of consequences, whether it's short-term or long-term. And you don't know how it's going to affect you long-term until you get to that point down the road. My coach and I talked using PEDs in the beginning. And for me, I was not interested in doing it. It wasn't something that I wanted to do just for personal reasons. And so, she was cool with that. Other people doing it, like if your goal is to just compete at local or regional shows, even you're not looking at going like to a national level or even a professional level. I'm not, personally, in my opinion, I'm not sure the benefits are going to outweigh the risks. Using it short term is definitely not going to, you may see a little bit of gain in that short time with it. But again, unless you're taking it for a long time, you're not going to sustain those gains. I'm not using it now. I have had some experience personally with using SARMS, selective androgen modulator or receptor modulators. They work similar to like Anavar, but they're not the actual steroid. They're a protein that targets specific receptors on cells in the body to get certain results with hopefully not having the side effects. I did that while I was doing CrossFit for a short time. And I mean, and I definitely gained weight. I definitely gained muscle. I definitely gained strength. I did it for, I think 4 to 6 months, maybe. And then I started seeing some injuries. And so that's why I ended up stopping doing them. But, you know, I also saw it messed up menstrual cycles. I got a lot of extra acne from it. And these are just things that I could see. I don't know what physiologically, what else it was doing, but I had a lot of the androgenic effects that I don't think are going to be desirable, especially in a female, unless you're taking other things to counteract those. So unless you're like that, trying to go to a national level, try to getting into a professional level, I think the best thing to do is to just get in the gym and lift weights and, progress through that. Bodybuilding is not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a lifestyle. It's a process, and to just, enjoy what you're doing and where you're at with it. And stay away from that stuff unless, you are a professional, and wanting to compete at that level, and then having a coach that's very knowledgeable about using them and doing them, and has experience with athletes with them, and you have to be committed to doing blood work and all kinds of extra stuff, that even more so when you're on those, just for safety reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
I really, really respect and appreciate where you're coming from with that, and thanks for being open and for sharing all that. Yeah, SARMS, some research that I've done, like it looks like there's no research on it, and the companies that are selling these things are saying, oh, there's no side effects, and then you hear about people that it messes up their liver and it tanks their testosterone, or like something happens. It's like we're almost safer with the full-blown anabolics because those are actually like
for real, yeah,
in medicine, which aren't even safe to begin with. So thank you for that. From Bel Air, Ohio, would like to ask, how often do you practice posing?
Not enough.
Pretty sure that's every
I need to do way more. Because I started in March, and it was kind of because it was so new and different for me. I had to go through like an accepting process of it, and realize that, okay, I'm a bodybuilder. It's okay to pose and do these things, and like to get it into my head what I was actually doing. So it took me a while to try to just get comfortable with doing that. And like, I'm checking in every week with my coach, taking pictures and stuff and sending them to her. But it took a while for that to feel more natural almost. And so the posing kind of was delayed along with that. Leading up to the show, I was posing per her orders. I had to work on posing every day. I think that was like the last 3 or 4 weeks leading up to it, because she's like, you need to do this. And so she was like tweaking things and stuff. And just for my own practice, and I definitely felt more comfortable and natural doing once I started doing it more frequently. Now I'm kind of back to doing it only like twice a week. And then when I check in with her on the once a week, I probably should be doing it more, but it's personally, and I know it's not a great excuse, but for me, it's just hard to find time to do it especially depending on what my job is like and where I'm working. And so I already spend a couple hours at the gym after work. It's like, I got stuff I need to do when I go home to get ready for the next day. And I don't want to spend more time there. And so sometimes I'll do a little bit at home, but I would say the more the better. If you can do it at least twice a week, that's probably a good start. And then as you get closer to the show, just doing it more. But the more you do it, the more you're going to be comfortable with it. And I need to start doing it more because my coach is getting on me again already.
Yeah.
Did you take posing classes while you were on your prep, or did you kind of just work with your coach on posing?
I just work with my coach. We do FaceTime video chats, and I'd post for her, and she'd correct things for me as we go. And I know there's a few people that I follow that I've met that do some of the tanding stuff that are also competitors in different levels or different divisions. And I know they do posing classes and do things. And there would definitely be a benefit to doing that, because my coach is in Florida and I'm in Pennsylvania. So everything has to be done virtually. And sometimes, it'd be way easier for her to be able to, or us to be in the same spot. She'd be like, okay, no, move your arm this way, do this, do that. And I could see where there'd be a huge benefit to posing classes if, you have time and then the money to do them. And when, especially if you're new to get comfortable with it, or if you're even a seasoned competitor, you know, to tweak and hone things, there'd definitely be a benefit to it.
Well, especially when you have somebody else's eyeballs like on you and able to just like lift your arms and stuff. I mean, Colt spent hours at posing class when he was on his last few preps too. So yeah, it's definitely a good thing to have.
And the rules are always changing too. It's like one year they want you to have this foot in front. The next year they want you to have this foot in front. Oh, so this judge wants you to do this. This judge wants you to do that. And so you always need to know who the judges are too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I don't know, for me, I feel like if she can explain what she wants me to do, and until I actually get my body into that spot, like if somebody could just move me there, and like if I could feel what she wants, like it'd be so much easier than me trying to move and twerk and, you know, adjust things, and her being like, I think that's where it's supposed to be, but then still not being sure. So somebody be like, put this arm here, this leg there, turn this that way. Like I could feel that, and I'd be like, all right, I got it, I can do this.
Yeah.
But, so
posing is an art, that is for sure.
Posing class is very hands-on. It kind of has to be. And my coach just like lived hands all over my back, like for hours. Like you need to relax them. Don't flex them, relax them.
Yeah.
Trying too hard, you know, like just that kind of stuff. And it's it's hard to do over video. We're just at the point where like, oh, heck, we're just gonna get flights and go over there and, you know, help you out in person, because the video back and forth is helpful, but you can only do so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who did you use for posing class, or where did you go?
I went to Katie Wayman-White. She used to be the the president of the North American Natural Bodybuilding Federation, NANBF. Super cool lady, giant afro.
Nice.
She's been a pro bodybuilder for, I want to say, 20 or 30 years in the WNBF and in the IPE. And so I went to her class for a number of years. And then when I hired a coach, he and I worked on it quite a bit too. And so we would go to class together.
Yeah. You guys would go to class together.
Yeah. He's third place in the world in the IPE. So
cool.
Definitely knows what he's doing too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Dana would also like to ask, how did you manage nerves before going on stage? What's it like up there?
To be honest, I was definitely nervous leading up to the show, and I did 2 shows. The Natural Pennsylvania National Championship was actually my second show. I did one 2 weeks before that, and definitely nervous the week before that, and it like screwed up my digestive tract, and like I was having all kinds of issues with that during that first like peak week that we did. But I don't know. Again, for me, once I got to that location, checked into the hotel, it was like the nerves just kind of melted away. Like I was there, I was going to do it. Like, you know, I was going to go and have fun. Essentially, it was kind of my thought process going into it. You know, once you start getting the tanning stuff done, and then I had my makeup done and you know, hair, and put the suit on, and like went back to the venue. And it was like, once I got there, it was just like, all right, like I'm here, like I'm excited to go on stage. I was like, you know, looking forward to it. You start chatting with the other competitors who, you know, we're all really cool. And it was like we were all just there to have fun, and everybody was supporting everybody. And so for me, at least, you know, definitely, you know, had some flutters go before I went right on stage, but it was like, all right, I know what I'm here to do. Like, let's just do it and go for it, and, you know, have fun with it. And so I don't know, the nerves just, once I got on stage, I was like, I knew what I needed to do and what I needed to get done. And I was just going to do it to, you know, the best that I could. And it was like the nerves just kind of melted away as I got on stage and did what I needed to do.
Mm-hmm. Great. And I mean, you putting in the time to be, I imagine that you were probably ready, like, you know, not shredded the day of and rushing to burn fat and to, like last minute, you were probably ready like weeks ahead of time, and we're comfortable going in, and we're just like, all right, I just need to show the work that I put in, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It was just real small tweaks. I was probably ready about 2 weeks out or so, and where I could have probably gone on stage. And then we just, I had a plan and stuck with it. And kind of those last 2 weeks leading up to that first show was all just, you know, little tweaks, a little bit of shredding here and there, and just a minimal cardio, and keeping diet really low so that I would continue to lean out, shred out more leading up to that. But yeah, we were in a good spot. Even I think about a month out, she said we were right where we needed to be. So it went well for me. I got lucky, I guess, that way.
Wow, you got a heck of a coach, that's for sure.
She is awesome. That is for sure.
Sounds like she got you dialed in. That's how you do it. Yeah. Nobody wants to cut all the way down into a show, but being able to fill up into a show, even reverse diet into a show is it's a lot more fun that way. It's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, and everybody's got their own theories and, experiences and kind of ideas with the prep for a show. My coach likes to start them like 20 weeks out. So like my show's not this year, isn't until June 30th. But I'm starting prep February 12th. Mm-hmm. So that gives us plenty of time to go nice and slow and like fine tune things as we go. And then like that kind of still build for a while into that prep until we really have to start crunching calories, increasing cardio, and trying to really lean out. So,
right. Did you do like a rapid backloading on your peak, or like a big carb refeed or anything, or did you pretty much just eat the same thing every day up through your show?
No, we did a carb load. We did a carb load starting 2 days. Well, so my shows were both on Saturdays, and so it was like high protein, high fat up until that Wednesday. And then we fat loaded that Wednesday night. And then it was real high carbs Thursday, a little bit less carbs Friday. And then the day of the show I really didn't eat much until I was about to go on stage. And then I got like a Rice Krispie bar and some salt. That was about it. Just a little bit of carbs here and there on that Saturday, just to fine tune the look and not like overload and get bloated, and but to keep the muscle definition.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. That's actually really fascinating. I've never heard of the fat load on Wednesday first, because that sounds extremely similar to pretty much all the shows that I did, which was what my coach's protocol was to, I don't eat any carbs now. Both of us are keto, carnivore, low carb, but all my shows that I've done so far have been basically the same thing that you just said, but I've actually personally never heard of the fat refeed before. What's the purpose of that? It sounds really interesting.
Yeah, so I'll have to remember. From what I remember about it, because I hadn't heard of that either. From what I found online and from my research about it, and what my coach told me, the fat load kind of jumpstarts the cells and the insulin and starts getting them working so that the cells your muscles and everything are ready to kind of start taking up the carbs. If there's not enough fat in them and kind of enough fuel to begin with, then they won't uptake as much. So it was kind of to help jumpstart that process.
Awesome.
Wow. Huh. And then if you've been chronic low fat or just low calories for that point to get shredded, then I guess that's probably the best time to have that fat too, is towards the end of your depletion phase, when your body's just going to soak it up and probably not store it, put it to good use, and you're probably feeling better, sleeping better.
It's like a primer.
Yeah. Wow. That's fascinating. That makes a lot of sense. Were you worried about spilling over or anything on stage?
No.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, I've been there. That's not fun. Yeah, being in the best shape of my life and then the worst shape of my life because I ate one too many sweet potatoes the day of.
The worst shape of your life.
Not the worst shape of my life, but it felt like it. It looked like I just felt like an idiot on stage. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And like, "Want me not to eat it to you?" He was like, "Eat if you're hungry." And I was like, "Okay." And I'm like, freaking starving, man. So I just ate too much and then just felt stupid. All I could do was pump and dehydrate the entire day. I looked great by the night, but it was too late because all the pre-judging was done.
Yeah.
You win some, you learn some.
Yeah, I learned
yeah.
that one. Everybody's body's different too. Yeah, you just never know what's going to work for somebody until you try it a couple times. Did you guys do any test runs or anything, or did she just
you're
going to do?
Yeah, no, we did a test run. I think like 2 or 3 weeks out, just to kind of see how it all go and kind of what I'd look like. And then like I said, and if I would tolerate doing the high protein, high fat, or not, I don't want to say high fat, but high protein, moderate fat, kind of basically what I had done for all my low days, kind of leading up the majority of what I was eating for our prep, which was very minimal. And then we did that, and then did the loading to see what I would look like. And she was happy with everything that way.
So it sounds like you were carb cycling up through the last part of your work of your training phases.
Yeah. That's kind of how we went through prep. We did a carb cycling. I started off with like 3 low days, a medium day, and a high day. And then we kind of timed the high days to certain leg days specifically. And then kind of slowly backed off on those high days until I was at some points I was eating low days like 6, 7, 8 days in a row. And then she'd throw in a high day in there, and I was doing 40 minutes of cardio every day with heart rate monitoring, and like for the amount of calories that I was burning and the amount of food that I was eating, there was such a mismatch there. But it's totally not safe or healthy. But got for the purpose of bodybuilding, it does what you need to do.
Oh yeah, exactly. Wow, yeah, I'm fascinated this dynamic that you have with your coach. This is really cool. So it sounds like you didn't really have like a like a strict low carb, medium carb, high carb schedule so much as it was you're probably just talking to your coach every single day and waiting for her lead.
Well, no, for the first like 2 months or so of the prep, remember we do it's like 4 or 5 months that my prep is like 4 months. And so for those first like 2-ish months or so, or at least the first month, it was like low, medium, high, low, medium, high. And then obviously rest days were low days. So there was more of a pattern to it in the beginning. Then the closer that we got to prep, the more we would stretch out those low days. And then, have only one medium day, and then sometimes not even have high days, or like that's where it started changing like week to week. Was checking in with her based on how I looked. But, and obviously as we got closer, there were more and more low days unless I was really not feeling well. Then she'd throw in an extra high day or something in there to just load me back up. But so there was.
Yeah, there's no better. I don't know if you can relate to this. I'm sure you can, but for me, there was no better feeling, no better text message than, okay, today's refeed day.
Yeah. Early day,
high carb days are fun.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I used to
it's like all right, where's my high day come in this week? When do I actually get to eat?
Yeah, I had to stop looking at your Instagram profile this morning. I was like, all these donuts, are you kidding me? I was like, just listening like donuts and cronuts, and I was just like all this stuff that is my Achilles heel. I have one of those things I can't stop. Did you eat anything like that on your prep, or were your high carb days like just sweet potatoes, rice, and like the basic bro foods kind of thing?
Sweet potatoes and rice, some rice cakes. But my coach and like I guess the team that my team that I compete with, it's also their coaches. And everybody's kind of idea is trying to keep the foods as like real and natural as possible, which fits in great with my lifestyle medicine stuff. Like, trying to avoid, I think the most like processed stuff that I had on my diet was protein powder, which I don't even drink anymore. I only eat real protein, lots of chicken, obviously, and then fish and shrimp and that kind of stuff, and some red meat here and there. But and then like English muffins is the most processed thing that I could have. I mean, I could substitute things in and out right now being an off season, but like I just choose not to. So like I eat oatmeal, rice, and sweet potatoes mainly for my carbs, and then fruit is the other thing that I get for carbs. But it's all as whole and natural as I can be.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Yeah, I can't stand everybody on YouTube where it's just all marketing. It's just like, oh no, you can eat whatever you want as long as it fits your macros. So yeah, my first year I did that without a coach. It was just I was just a wreck. Like my hormone, like I had thyroid issues. And I was 26 years old my first competition. And it's like that kind of stuff shouldn't be happening. But there's something different that happens in your brain and in your body when you swap everything for clean foods. Like I know that there's calories in, calories out, but like you can literally eat the same amount of calories and have it be junk food and eat the same amount of calories and have it be like the foods that you're talking about, and you'll perform better, you'll sleep better. It's like the body's just so much more complicated than that, as you know. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk labs, we can talk some lab stuff too. I did labs just for fun. Hold on.
Yeah, please.
Let's put on silent. I did some blood work, kind of just for fun in between the show. So right before the natural show, my second show, I went and had some blood work drawn just to kind of see where my numbers were at. And I also had thyroid issues. My TSH, which is your because what kind of the first lab that you look at for thyroid was up almost to it was like the upper end of normal. And like I've never had thyroid issues in my life. And then my A1C, hemoglobin A1C, which is what the number that you look at for diabetes, it was like 5.3, which is almost getting to a pre-diabetic range. And here I am, as shredded as I could be, and I was having the low blood sugar issues for about 6 weeks in there, and like that number was all out of whack. And then of course after that, my coach was like, all right, we need to go check a bunch of other stuff just to make sure, like, see where everything else is at. And I did that about a week, or no, it was about a month later. I had the second set of labs drawn, and at that time, my thyroid had come almost back down to normal, or back into a more normal range, kind of mid-range, which was good. I haven't rechecked my A1C yet because that takes about 3 months. I have to go do that here soon. Yeah, just the stress from competing wreaks havoc on your body, which is what we kind of attributed it all to. And then and then you need that off season, or that growing phase, that healthy phase, to let your body get back into sync and back into normal rhythms and eat and fill out. Like that's a huge thing. And I know a lot of, and that's even, well, I guess even myself in the beginning, like because I was so shredded, and then, as I started eating more and started pushing calories again, which was great, but it's like, you start losing those shreds, and it's like, oh, I feel like this isn't the point of bodybuilding, but you need that time. Your body needs that time to recover, to get healthy, so that you can build more muscle and grow and prepare for the next season.
Yeah. Your body feels it goes through a lot to get shredded, but it feels really good though. And as I've gotten bigger, whether it's fat or muscle, I've had my fluffy phases and my phases where right now I've a good amount of muscle this last 6 months, but it's just like, I'm just not used to being this big, and it's like you lose fat and muscle when you compete typically. And body dysmorphia in this sport is real. The first day that you thing is you're forever small the rest of your life.
Oh yeah, definitely. And yeah, this is like, I've noticing depending on how my digestion and stuff is going too, like it makes a big difference in whether or not I'm retaining water. And like the other day I was trying to put on a pair of socks, and like I just eat, and I was getting ready to go to the gym, and so I did carb loading, of course. And like I tried to bend over to put socks on, and I'm like, oh, I can't bend as far. Like I feel so full and bloated. And I'm like, this didn't happen before. Like this is weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely know what you mean with definitely the biggest I've been in, and still being like reasonably lean. Like it's an experience. And
being a low carb athlete myself, it's night and day when I eat carbs when I don't. Like she can tell if I'm on my diet or not. And like if I over Christmas, there were a couple days where like I was eating pie and stuff, and then like the next day, like I wouldn't even take videos of myself and some of my clients. This is how we communicate with our clients, is everything is video chat, because most communication is nonverbal. So it helps with the relationship building with everybody that we have that's at a distance. And it's like, I can't even look at the camera, man. Like I just look like a balloon. Yeah, and it takes like 3 days to get all that water back out of your system.
Oh yeah,
and a couple good workouts and sweat it out. Yeah. Well, sorry to digress so much, but I'm just.
Oh, no, that's all right.
So Sela from Puyallup, Washington would like to ask, did you work out once a day up through your show, or did you ever have to break it up into like two a days?
I had to break it up into 2 days. There was no way with doing 40 minutes of cardio plus an ab circuit plus lifting, which took anywhere between an hour to an hour and a half. Like you're spending almost 3 hours at the gym, and you're like no food, no calories during that time. Like the body was just like, I can't do this. So I break it up. I do fasted cardio in the mornings, and try to get the ab circuit in then, depending on what time I got to the gym and what time I had to be at work. And then I would just save all my lifting for the afternoon, after I could eat and stuff. But I think that was the best way at least for me to do it. But you have to find what works for you. But it was just got to be too much with trying to do it all at once, and like that, spending 3 hours at the gym to get all that in. It was like I was so dead by doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I did too.
You did it, like flip-flopped it, right?
It was fasted abs and cardio in the mornings, because I figured, like, this kind of stuff is hard to prove by science, but like I figure I was in a more fat burning state in the morning. I don't want to burn my ab fat, and so then I do that and then eat carbs after I was done, and then use those carbs to go lift later in the day. So I think pretty similar to how you did it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sela would also like to ask, were all of your workouts intense, or was there a time that you scaled back? Did you have weeks where you just kind of went through the motions because your carbs were low?
So the way that my lifting is programmed, a lot of it is kind of based on like perceived exertion. And so a lot of it was work up to a heavy set of, I think I was lifting like 12 to 20 reps for a lot of those at that time. And that was kind of my program from when I started to up to the show almost. And so obviously when we started prep, I was able to maintain strength and maintain weights and everything. And then as I got closer and closer to like the shows and getting closer to peak and everything, just like I noticed, because I wasn't eating everything, and because I was in such a calorie deficit, that like you can't maintain strength for that long. And because it was all like perceived exertion, is essentially, I would just adjust the weights what I would feel was necessary, and knowing what I could still hit, what numbers I think I could still hit. And sometimes I'd have to break it up into 2 sets or stop. I wouldn't quite get to the reps that were asked, but were recommended. Yeah, so I definitely saw a big drop in strength, especially towards the end as you got really close to the shows. It's like you just can't sustain that. And at that point, you're not going to grow any more muscle in a calorie deficit, and you're really just trying to maintain what you have and to get the blood flow into the muscles, to help get the carbs and everything into them, or the food, that whatever that you're eating, the nutrients into them to sustain them and maintain them to get up to that show. So a couple months out, like you're really not going to make any more gains in that time. It's really just at that point trying to maintain what you have and get blood flowing and keep the muscles as healthy as you can.
Right. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger's book, but like some of the things in it are like, oh yeah, right before a competition, that's the time to really work on building up your bicep peaks and stuff. And I'm like, I think there's more. It's like the steak and eggs and stuff he's eating that he says, because like I've had people ask like, what weight class are you doing at your next show? And I'm like, I'm a natural bodybuilder, bro. Like I get shredded, and then whatever muscle I have left at that point, I just thank God that I still have it. And however much is what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So Carly from Seattle, Washington would like to ask, and she's thinking about doing her first women's physique competition, by the way. She would like to ask, have you had to deal with unsupportive friends, family that didn't understand the commitment and lifestyle entailed in contest prep?
I thankfully wouldn't say that any of them were unsupportive. It took some friends and family a little bit of time to kind of understand what I was doing, and that like, I can come out, or I can go out and come with you to dinner, but I can't eat dinner. Or if I go to dinner, like I'm literally going to order a salad with chicken on it because that's all I can eat. Or, I can't have a drink, but I'll come out and hang out. Or like, it took some time for them to kind of just get used to that. And thankfully it was, like I said, it was only a few people. And so, they got used to it eventually. My parents, it took them a little bit of time to kind of understand too. And I'm like, I can't do this. Like that breaks my rules. Like I got a goal. I'm trying to do this, but thankfully, like I said, that most people were very understanding of it, and were actually even more curious to kind of know what I was doing and how I was doing, and very actually supportive of what I was doing. And so no, I didn't. It was a good experience for me.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you handled it very maturely, very professionally.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Taylor lives in Vancouver, Washington. She's actually right next to me. And would you like to read your question?
Yeah. So I was just wondering, like, so your goal physique that you had in mind, did you throughout your prep have any doubts that you'd be able to get there? Were there any times where it was just like, I don't know if I can get to that point, or were you basically on track the entire time?
I would say, I didn't really have a goal physique so much that we were shooting for. It was, kind of all right, you've done the work, now let's see what's all underneath there type, more of a type thing. And being my first time going through this, I really wasn't quite sure what to expect or how, shredded I was going to get. And so it was all, for me, the whole thing was a learning experience. And it just, whatever my coach told me to do, I did it and made sure I got it done. And, like I said, I was very pleased with where I got. She was very excited about where we were and, what we were working with when we got closer to the shows. And even the week between the show, I actually even lost like 3 or 4 more pounds up to my lowest weight right before the natural show. So like, I guess, and I think maybe I got lucky and with just the way that everything went smoothly once we figured out the blood sugar issue. But it was, I was excited to what we got down, where I ended up for both shows, and really motivating for this upcoming season and to see what I can look like in June. Yeah.
Cool.
So you did a show that was drug tested and one that wasn't. Was there a difference in like the experience, or one that you preferred over the other, just based on like how it was run or anything?
No, they were very different experiences. The first show that I did was just an open show, drugs, no drugs, whatever. And that show was, I guess for a local show, a regional show, was actually really big. It was the biggest show that they've ever had. And I think there was over 200 competitors, maybe. Like, it was huge. And it took, oh my gosh, it was the first show, having no idea what to expect. Like it was the
longest day of your life.
Yeah, because I had to be up at like 4 to get makeup done and like all this stuff. It was crazy. And I think they started the show at 9, and I didn't leave there till like 10:30 at night. Like it was insane. And but it was like everything. There were just so many people. It took so long.
Did they have like men first and then women, or how did they do that?
It was that one they did not. It was just class. Yeah. So all the men's first class came through, and then all the women's class, and they did the finals, and the same thing. And so of course, women being second in the finals, like we were there, like it was the longest day ever.
Yeah. What the last show, or our last competitor competed at in September, it was the first time we'd been to that I'd been to an NPC show, because Colt's been doing WNBF. And they did it so differently. They did all the men's, the prejudging and finals, and then the women went. Like they had the break. And so it was nice, because then for the competitors, it's like they didn't have to wait all day to try to keep their physique looking good. But I can't remember. It had to have been just the longest day of your life.
Yeah, it was something else.
Especially for a first experience too.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then, like I said, and that was like, it was the biggest show that they've ever had. And I think a lot of it was because a lot of those shows around here were canceled the year before because of COVID. And so like a lot of people were ready to compete again. And other people from New Jersey and New York and obviously Pennsylvania, and I think from Maryland and stuff that came up. Like it was huge. And then the second show that I did, that was in Pittsburgh, the natural show, that one was a lot smaller, like crazy small compared to the first one. And that one they did split up. So the men went in the morning and the women went in the afternoon. And so it was much quicker. I think we were in and out of there in like 4 hours. Like nice. It was, and not a ton of competitors, being a natural show also. It was, and it was very well run. Things stayed on track. The promoters were really good. The promoters were really good for the first one too, but they were the national show was a different experience because of how small it was, but also kind of nice to get in and get out and get it done.
So the last question that I have, actually, this is from Colt Miller, Vancouver, Washington. Mr. Colt would like to ask, the last couple of months before a show, in my experience, required putting about everything else in your life on the back burner so that you can be all in with your show and make sure that you win and don't waste all this hard work that you put in. So did you have to scale back your professional work as a physician, reprioritize your social life and make like any major sacrifices in order to win?
It definitely required some reorganization and prioritization of things. Thankfully for my work schedule, being a physician, my days are pretty much like 8 to 4. On call some nights, but like I could do that from home. And so I wasn't spending super long hours in the hospital. And so like it allowed me to train in the mornings and train, in the after work in the afternoons. I also had some free days in there where, like I said, my schedule was a lot lighter, where I was, working from home a few days here and there. And so for me, at least from a work standpoint, I was able to back off, and I knew I was going to have flexibility and a much less stressful work environment. As far as like social things, again, I've like all my friends knew what I was doing. So like, I wouldn't turn down a social event. I either bring my own food or, be limited to what I would eat, and I wasn't drinking alcohol, and like they understood it and got it. And it was still nice to go out and socialize at least, and then hang out with people and see people from that standpoint. But the last part of your question was if I had to cut anything out, or what was your last
like question? Any like general
just make any like big life sacrifices.
Big life sacrifice. I don't think so. I have a pretty boring life otherwise. So, I mean, it was over the summer. And so like, because it was my first prep and everything, I didn't go on any like vacations, didn't go to the beach, didn't go do anything that way where it was going to take me out of my training environment. Because I didn't want to have to try to find a gym somewhere and use it, get their hours, and then, juggle all that prepping food, which I'm sure is a process. I'm sure all your listeners know is a process, especially if
every Sunday the whole day.
And yeah, it's like I feel like I'm always prepping food. It's like I personally didn't want to have to be responsible for doing that and trying to work out while trying to like go to the beach and enjoy it. At least not my first time. Maybe would I consider that, and then in this summer or in the future possibly. It's definitely more doable. I've traveled a little bit with the shows, and even traveled to go visit family and stuff now that I'm more used to the lifestyle, but it's still a process, and it's really I guess I did sacrifice not enjoying summer as much as probably as I would have liked to, just because I had my goal and wanted to bring everything that I had in my best, and that
gotta do what you gotta do.
Sounds like it was worth it though.
Yeah, definitely.
That's an understatement. Okay, so the theme of our show is, as you know, a superset is a technique where you use to pair two exercises, usually of opposing muscle groups, to complement each other and optimize the performance of each. So overall, have you found bodybuilding in general to be a superset that enhances your capacity to be a better physician, your relationships, and improve your overall quality of life?
Yeah, I think so. Like I kind of mentioned in the beginning, like I lifted weights a little bit in high school growing up, and enjoyed it, and and then got back into it with CrossFit, but CrossFit wasn't quite doing what I wanted to do, as far as just wasn't. It was fun, but it just wasn't quite satisfying. And bodybuilding is such an individual sport. It's like me against me, and I like that from an individual standpoint, that it's I get out of it what I put into it, and it's like, I'm trying to figure out what I can do to improve myself on a daily basis. And one of the big things that I'm into is also kind of like self improvement, like a little bit of philosophy, stoicism, that kind of stuff, which is all about making me a better person. And so I feel like bodybuilding is helping me create and build at least the body that I want to have, that I would like to have in it. And so it adds just kind of that extra component to who I am and who I feel most comfortable being with, which has always been a fit person, but I've always liked muscles and being strong. And I feel like bodybuilding is a great fit to that, for that part of things. And then, with the lifestyle medicine thing, being fit and active, although not always the healthiest with the bodybuilding lifestyle, but I feel like it helps, and hopefully will help to be a good role model for patients, and to maybe help motivate them and get them comfortable with talking with somebody that is, again, fit and active and lives as much of a healthy lifestyle as I try to preach and to give them. So I do my best to do that stuff. And so I'm hoping it'll all come together with getting this lifestyle medicine thing up and going, and benefit patients. I obviously benefit with myself, and then it always is a fun talking point with friends and family and everybody too.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, great. Well, where can people go to find out more about you?
Well, come check out my Instagram. That's the big thing right now. It's Dr.Coley, CHOLEY, and the number 6.NPC. And doctor is DR. So come check me out. I'm going to be posting a lot more lifestyle medicine stuff on there going forward, as well as a bunch of bodybuilding stuff and videos, and kind of a mix of both, because that's who I am, and kind of the brand that I'm trying to create. Be active, do what you live your life, but here's some healthy ways to do it, and some things that everybody can work to improve on. Even myself, being a physician and doing this, like I learn lifestyle medicine stuff, all the time, and with the education that I get through that.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, great. Well, we could both sit here and just literally ask you. I literally have 10 other questions. I'm just dying to respect your time. We really appreciate with the high amount of demand that I know that you're in right now, you taking some time out of your schedule to have this conversation with us and share this with these ladies that work with us. And so, just thank you so much. Thanks for being who you are. Congratulations again on your win. Best of luck to you this summer. We'll be following along and rooting for you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. It was great. Thanks for having me, and I'd be happy to come back again and chat sometime. So just let me know.
Yeah, we'd love that.
Cool. Yeah, and then like when I'm in Pittsburgh too, might need to say hi.
Yeah, let me know.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us for this entire episode. If you found this helpful or entertaining, we ask if you would please share this with a friend. That would be awesome. We'd love to hear what you think of the show, so any ratings or reviews that you have are very much appreciated. Again, on the coaching, if you are a bodybuilding competitor looking for a coach, you may text me at 206-743-1346, or head on over to supersetyourlife.com and book a free 15-minute phone consultation to discuss your competition goals. At the time of this recording, January 2022, we are currently overbooked with all clients and cannot add any new team members until mid-February, early March. So depending on when your contest prep would need to start, we could talk then. However, we are happy to get to know anyone that is interested in coaching options, and would love it if you joined our free Superset Community Facebook group, where we share successes, inspire, and motivate each other as a team. We have a new episode every Saturday morning, so please subscribe so you don't miss those. Thanks again. God bless you, and bye-bye.